I have taken paintings from the 18th century and imagined the Venice of that time using AI. What you're seeing are reconstructions built from the brushstrokes of Canaletto, Guardi, and dozens of lesser-known artists who documented the city in obsessive detail. 118 islands, 400 bridges, 170 canals, millions of wooden piles driven into the mud, holding up perhaps the most improbable city ever built. The question by 1698 wasn't how Venice rose, it was how long the city could adapt fast enough. The gondoliers worked the canals every day, ferrying merchants, nobles, servants. Each one memorized the tide schedules, the shortcuts, the water depths. In a city where streets were water, they were the taxi drivers, the delivery men, and the emergency services. The Doge's palace dominated the waterfront. Inside, the Council of Ten met in secret chambers to decide matters of state. Outside, merchants unloaded goods from ships that had traveled from Constantinople, Alexandria, the Levant. Silk, spices, dyes, sugar. The harbor was organized chaos where fortunes changed hands daily. By the turn of the 18th century, the economics had shifted. The Portuguese controlled the route around Africa. The Spanish owned the Atlantic. The Ottomans held the East. Venice's monopoly, the very foundation of its wealth, was gone. The city that built itself on being the middleman suddenly found itself cut out of the deal. So the families adapted. The Contarini, the Mocenigo, the Corner. These weren't just noble names. They were banks, trading houses, insurance companies. When sea trade declined, they moved into manufacturing. Glass from Murano became luxury goods across Europe. Lace from Burano adorned royal courts. Printing presses churned out more books than anywhere else on the continent. If they couldn't control trade routes, they'd control production. The arsenal had employed 3,000 men at its peak. Carpenters, rope makers, sail makers, blacksmiths. By 1700, demand had collapsed. The wars were over. The fleets were shrinking. Many workers moved to merchant shipping or left Venice entirely, taking their skills to other ports. Meanwhile, the city continued its daily rhythm. Morning markets opened at dawn along the Rialto Bridge. Fishmongers sold the catch hauled in from the Adriatic. Bakers delivered bread by boat to every doorstep. Vegetable sellers rode in from the mainland before sunrise. Feeding 200,000 people on islands with no farmland required the same precision that once built warships. The bridges connected everything. The Rialto was the commercial heart. Money changers, jewelers, silk merchants all clustered there. But there were hundreds of smaller bridges, each with its own character. Some were private, owned by noble families. Others were public, maintained by the Republic. Crossing the city meant navigating a maze that only locals truly understood. The neighborhoods had distinct identities. Cannaregio housed the Jewish ghetto, the first in Europe, established in 1516. Jews were confined there at night by locked gates, but during the day they dominated money lending and medicine. 3 synagogues served the community. The restrictions were brutal by any measure, but the community not only survived but became essential to Venice's economy. Venice had no wells, no springs, no natural fresh water. Every drop of drinking water arrived by boat from the mainland, stored in elaborate cisterns beneath the city's squares. The barges came daily. Water vendors sold it door to door. The wealthy paid for private deliveries. The poor waited in lines at public fountains. Even the basics were logistics problems requiring constant maintenance. The piazza was the center of it all. More than just a square, it was where Venice performed itself. Merchants made deals under the arcades. Nobles paraded in their finest clothes. The servants kept everything running, thousands of them, mostly women from the countryside. They cooked in cramped kitchens, cleaned vast palazzos, rowed supply boats, hauled water up narrow staircases, emptied chamber pots. The carnivals of Venice stretched for months. Behind the masks, the rigid hierarchies blurred. A servant could dress as a noble for a night. It was pressure relief in a system that otherwise allowed no mobility. If you want to see more cities reconstructed from history, please like this video and subscribe right now. There's a lot more to explore.